Until recently, there has been no greater supporter or promoter of Australian savings bonds in this country than Bruce Bond. But if you're holding Australian savings bonds, and I'm talking about Series 19, if there's not a Series 20 in the next few weeks, my advice is get rid of your Series 19, 18, 17, 16, back to Series 1 savings bonds. Who in the audience currently holds any savings bonds of any series? What series, ma'am? Sir? 19? 19. Who else has got, what series, sir?
19.
19s?
19.
19s. Any 18s? You've got 18s. Do you follow Bruce Bond?
Not always, no.
Not always, no. Why not? Not always?
I miss you sometimes.
You're what?
I miss you sometimes.
Oh, you miss... I miss you too. Let me say here and now, ladies and gentlemen, that I am not talking about not being involved in government securities. What I'm talking about is practical, common sense money management. Now, what interest rate are you earning, ma'am? And I'll go from memory, probably 11.5% on Series 18. Is my memory pretty good?
That's right.
It is. What do Series 19 savings bonds offer? 12.25. Is my memory correct? Right. Is there anyone in the audience that holds any other series savings bond? Yes or no? Apart from 19 or 18? What series, sir?
17. And a reason.
There's a reason. Let me hear the reason. Yes, sir. Sorry.
If I transferred them to the current bonds,
yes,
I get extra interest, but I also lose on my
taxation.
Not so much taxation. My
Social Security.
I can't think.
Pension, sir. Don't worry. You're doing very well, sir.
Service pension.
Service pension.
Yes.
Sir, I have the solution. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an old Treasury bond, not savings bond, and I make this distinction deliberately. This is an old 5.4%, sir, not 12.25 or 11.5 or 10.75 savings bond, sir. This is an old 5.4% Treasury bond that I bought through the stock exchange a few weeks ago, and let's talk in total amounts. I bought $6,000 worth of these old 5.4% Treasury bonds, and I'll give you the exact figure, sir, for $3,363. I bought, what value? 6,000. For what price, ladies and gentlemen? $3,363. When this bond matures, and I've only got one of them here, the $1,000 one, but let's talk in units of 6,000, for an outlay of $3,363, how much will I get back when they mature, sir?
The full amount.
I will get $6,000 back. I am making almost 100% capital gain, tax-free capital gain, by buying what we call discounted. What does the word discount mean? That you can get it for less. That sounds like a plug, sir. It's not best unless... I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, you know. But, right. You can get it for less, sir, and you are quite right. Now, I again repeat, I am not interested in tax evasion or tax avoidance. It is my job, as I see it, forgive me, to show you and the people at home legal ways and means of not only, sir, improving their income, making some tax-free capital gain, but under existing rules, and I know jolly well that the government has announced that they're trying to change the income rules because they're being abused, and I'm not referring to you, sir. But if I buy, for example, $1,000 worth of government bonds paying 15% in interest, ladies and gentlemen, $1,000 worth, $100 worth, let's simplify it, $100 worth of government bonds paying 15% in interest, my income is obviously $15, correct? If I buy $100 worth of 5.4% old Treasury bonds, 5.4% Treasury bonds, so what's my income on 100? $5.40. So by legitimately using the system, instead of earning in income $15 per 100, in income, sir, I've earned $5.40 in income. I've made up the difference, ladies and gentlemen, by way of capital gain, which under existing rules and regulations will not normally interfere with pension entitlements.
Gillette.
Trusts. You can invest your money, and those of you who are taking notes, note my words carefully, in Hill Samuel, Equitable, AFT, Australian Fixed Trusts, and more recently BA, Bank of America Cash Management Trust. Your money is available at 24-hour call. What did I say? 24-hour what? What does that mean? Sir? You can get it back in 24 hours? No. In the case of Hill Samuel, the initial minimum investment is $5,000, the initial minimum. In the case of Equitable, AFT and BA, the initial minimum is $2,000, available at 24-hour call, and the current interest rate at 24-hour call is around 14.7%. What did I just say? 24-hour call, what rate? Who here has money invested in one or all of the cash management trusts? What's the matter with you? Why aren't you investing some, not all of your money in the cash management trust? Why not, ma'am?
I don't know anything about them.
You didn't know anything about them? I'll accept it. Who else didn't know anything about the cash management trust? You know your problem? You don't listen to Bruce Bond. I'm sorry. No, seriously. I said initial, 5,000, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000 minimum. What does the word initial mean? Initial. The first. Is there anyone here, and I'm being a little personal, I know, that could put their hands on $2,000 right now, even if only for a short time? Yes or no? Right. You could, sir? Right. Do you have a cash management trust investment? You don't, sir? Right. Let's say you can only put your hands on $2,000 for a short period of time. You could invest $2,000 in a cash management trust on a Friday, give notice that you want your money back on the Monday. Is that more than 24 hours notice, sir? Yes or no? Withdraw 1,000, and thereafter, ladies and gentlemen, with all the trusts, after you've met their initial minimum investment requirements, all you have to do is invest, and there is one exception, but basically multiples of $1,000. Now, I do not like people investing in joint names, as I've said on many occasions. But let's say it's the Bond family. Let's say Bruce Bond can rake up $500. Let's say Rosemary Bond, I should have put Rosemary first. Rosemary can rake up $500. Let's say Christopher James can rake up $500 and Simon can rake up $500. Now, individually we've only got 500, so we can't qualify, right? But collectively, how much have we got? So, although I don't like this total involvement, by pooling together these small sums of money, you can meet your initial minimum investment requirement, if only for a short period of time. You can then withdraw 1,000, and thereafter you only have to invest multiples of 1,000.
Channel 4 continues to bring you the best in summer sport. Don't miss the New South Wales Men's Open Tennis Championships. You'll see a top field of international players, as well as a strong Australian contingent. The New South Wales Men's Open Tennis Championships.
You can see play from the New South Wales Men's Open Tennis Championships tomorrow from noon.
Hey, if you're looking to find the right gift for someone this Christmas, here's a few ideas from EMI. Australian Crawl. Their brilliant album, Sirocco. Or Billy Squires, Don't Say No. And the Bob Seger double live set. 9 Tonight, Kim Carnes. Mistaken Identity, or Cliff Richards. Wired for Sound. Yep, there's some really good stuff here. Diana Ross, AC/DC, Kenny Rogers, Air Supply, Juice Newton. Her big hit album, Juice. Duran Duran's debut album, or These Guys. Their album, Tattoo You. And LRB's Time Exposure. Yes, sir, one Christmas gift you can enjoy for a lifetime. The gift of music from EMI.
Every so often when the big ones are running, the boys from the front bar challenge the boys from the back to a weekend of fishing up the coast. From sunrise to sunset, the battle is on and the competition is fierce. They've been great days in the past, but nothing near as good as this one. Little Pete caught well over 200 fish, might have won if he'd remembered the bungs for his boat. Bozo's record kingy was disallowed because it still had bits of newspaper stuck to it. But the real hero was Nipper Wilson, who, with his silver tongue and a fiver, collected a sackful from his cousin's oyster lease after an event like that.
It's not what you know, mate, it's who you know.
KB, now with a great new taste.
The Miss Suntastic quest is on again this summer as we search the coast and highlands for Miss Suntastic 1982. She will win an Asian affair holiday for two to Singapore and Penang, flying Singapore Airlines, plus $500 spending money from the sponsors of the quest, the IMB Building Society. All zone winners win a Breville blow dryer and Roll-O-Matic steam brush, a camera from Pal Colour, a Beach Boys beach pack and Coca-Cola products. There are gift packs of Quenty Cosmetics and Quality Street chocolates for every girl who enters. Plus, the organisation that nominates Miss Suntastic will win $1,000 worth of free advertising too. So if you're 16 years and over and live in the Channel 4 viewing area, just collect an entry form from any IMB branch or write to Miss Suntastic, Channel 4, Box 1800, Post Office Wollongong 2500.
If, without forgetting tax considerations, you want to invest in real estate, and I said invest in real estate, and I'm not talking about just your own home, sir, buy one property in your wife's name and one property in your name. And I say that for a variety of reasons, and I include, without apology, taxation. Because if you start selling, say, that first property 18 months after you originally purchased it, and then 18 months later, whether it's in joint names or individual names, you sold another property, although you've qualified or you've passed the 12-month period, the Commissioner of Taxation can rightly say you are trading in real estate. We don't do it this way, but if we were buying real estate, we would buy one property in Rosemary's name, one property in Bruce's name, and depending upon the ages of the boys, one property in Simon's name and one property in David's name or in Robin's name. Now, over a 5-year period, and this is not tax avoidance or evasion, let me make it quite clear, we're not jointly selling a property every 12 or 18 months. We're selling one property in my name in 1 year or 2. I might sell my next property 5 years later. Is my point taken, ladies and gentlemen, yes or no? But may I come back, ladies and gentlemen, to this all-important list of discounted loans and debentures. Look, let me simplify it for you. Barclays Finance, and let me make it quite clear, I do not normally suggest that people invest in unsecured notes, because unsecured notes are basically like second mortgages. Debentures are what you should go for, debentures. you have a first mortgage on the company's assets. But there can be exceptions. Exceptions like CSR's recent unsecured note issue. We bought some CSR unsecured notes, and later on I'll show you the Bruce Bond fixed interest portfolio as promised. And there are other exceptions. Pardon me, there are other exceptions, like Ford Credits or General Motors Acceptance Corporation. And their unsecured notes are guaranteed by the respective companies, the parents, without wishing to overgeneralise. But recently, and that's the company, and I've never promoted, whilst I haven't knocked, but I've never promoted, a finance company's unsecured notes. Barclays Finance, at the time that this program was made, had an unsecured note issue offering an interest rate of 16.2% for a 3-year period, guaranteed not by Barclays Bank, but by Barclays Bank International. Now, that's not just an implied guarantee, that is more than an implied guarantee. Would you agree with those comments, sir? Yes or no? But who in the audience is paying tax? I haven't put up my hand. No, seriously. Who in the audience is paying tax? Alrighty. If you invest, and I come back to the point I was trying to make before, sir, with you, not only from the point of view of social security, legitimately, but if you buy, let's say that interest rate 16%. Let's say it's 16. If you buy a 16% interest rate and you pay 32 cents in the dollar tax, you will lose roughly a third of your interest in taxation. Right or wrong? Okay. But if you buy an old 5%, and there isn't one available, but an old 5% Barclays Finance unsecured note or debenture, or an old bond like the 5.4, that I've got, sorry, I do get a bit carried away, 5.4 that I hold in my hand here, you are only paying tax on 5% or 5.4, not 16%. Is my point taken, yes or no? And here you are, throwing money away right, left and centre. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not criticising you for this for one moment. Until tonight, you haven't been guided in the right way. Would you agree with that? Yes or no? Any other questions, please, before I leave that? Yes, sir.
These special little bonds that you buy...
Not special little bonds, sir.
Special big bonds.
Very special bonds, right. And I'm talking about the person who holds it as well as the bond itself.
There wouldn't be too many of them available.
Pardon, sir?
There wouldn't be too many of them available, would there? And they would go to a sort of very select few people, would they?
But the question was, ladies, forgive me for interrupting, sir. Please forgive me.
Yeah.
The question was, there wouldn't be too many available. Well, I'm reading again from the 16th of October 1981, the Australian Financial Review, and I'm looking at Commonwealth government loans, and I'm talking about just the Sydney market here. I would say very, very quickly, sir, that about $500,000 worth of government bonds changed hands on that day.
Was that for sale or have been sold?
Have been sold.
Well, they have. That's come out after they've been sold.
Yeah. And what about tomorrow? There'll be 1 million tomorrow, and the day after there will be 250,000. And if everyone takes my advice, there'll be 1,000 in due course, but not everyone will take my advice. I'm not being flippant, sir.
It'd be very hard for the average man to get something
rubbish.
like you
Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish, sir. I go back to a point that I made on a recent radio program. I was able to buy, and I will name the stock for you, and you can check on this any time that you want to in the same list. $500 worth of Dunlop Olympic debentures. Dunlop Olympic, a supreme first-class company, for $477, and they mature in a couple of years' time. $500 worth. I didn't say 5,000, sir. I didn't say 50,000. Let's again come back to this all-important list. My goodness me. It comes back to the point I made in the previous program. Look for sources of information. It's been readily available to you for years in the Financial Review and other newspapers. Let's look at some of the quantities that have been sold. $6,500 worth of February 82s. Now listen to this, sir. Listen to this. February 82. How long to go before maturity?
Well, 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months. Think in units of 100, sir, as I always say in illustrating these points on fixed interest investment. $6,580 worth were sold on this date, sir, the 16th of October. Purchase price per 100, I repeat, purchase price per 100, $92.92. In about 4 or 5 months' time, the purchaser of those bonds will get back how much? $100. So they're getting a capital gain of how much? Around 8%. Not for 12 months, sir, but around 8% for a 4 or 5 month period. The yield, the return on investment in purchasing these discounted loans, 15%. But I come back to that all-important point. If you're a taxpayer, I quoted the interest rate of 5.275. You will only pay tax on the 5.275 interest coupon that's attached to that bond. Please, have you accepted what I'm saying about buying discounted loans or debentures, yes or no?
Hey, it's your old mate JR back again with more Jack's River Tyre deals. You can kill yourself with crook tyres, so you get smart and go to Jack's. Jack's gives you all the good brands at the best price with quick service as well as free fitting while you wait. Call in tomorrow at Jack's for this week's Ripper deals. Jack's Discount Tyres. You'll find them on the corner of Kira and Ellen Street, Wollongong, 260 Shell Harbour Road, Warilla, and number 1 Holly Lee Road, Campbelltown.
Who's buying what at the Repco Christmas sale?
I'll save on maintenance with these Gregory service manuals, only $11.99.
And I'll save on fuel with a Davies Craig thermatic fan from just $69.95.
Turtle Liquid Polymer shines out at just $11.95.
Jet Setter Terry seat covers for only $36.95. That's a value.
So, who's buying what at the Repco Christmas sale?
They'll see you right at Repco.
We'll see you right at Repco.
Hey, it's that time of the year again, and Bert Ford will make your Christmas even happier.
Buy a new Ford car before Christmas and Bert Ford will give you cash back off the normal selling price. Buy a company executive vehicle and receive up to $2,500 back off the retail selling price. Up to $1,500 off a new Fairlane. Up to $1,000 off a new Falcon. Up to $900 off any Cortina in stock. Lots and lots of cars in stock now at Bert Ford Wollongong.
At long last, the banks are meeting the market. The National Bank of Australasia, for example, introduced their savings card, offering 9% in interest on amounts of $1,000 and over. And I'm talking about the total amount. Commonwealth Trading Bank has recently followed suit. Bank of Wales, ANZ Bank and other banks are offering similar packages. Now, I am not knocking that involvement. What I am knocking, though, is the investment expertise of the small, and I don't mean to sort of be disrespectful, the smaller branches, because when you go, pardon me, when you go in and you say, what can I invest my money in, not unnaturally, you know what they're going to say? Bank products, saving investment accounts, interest-bearing deposits. And look, if you want to qualify for a home loan, by all means meet their requirements with the bank or the building society or the talking about credit unions. Now, I just digress for a moment. Mark my words, when we talk about fixed interest investment, we're also talking about getting money at the cheapest interest rate possible. Sure, I'm associated with a particular credit union, not to promote that credit union's products only, but to promote the involvement of credit unions in your local community. I'm talking about community credit unions. You see, saving money is another way of making money. And I am saying to each and every one of you, and I am not knocking the finance companies for one moment, the finance companies of this country have done a magnificent job in helping people buy their refrigerators, their TV sets, their motor cars, etc., etc. But as I said in my last special, I might have said it tonight, I am not a benevolent institution. So if I can borrow money through a community credit union at 16 or 17% as against 24, 26, 28 or 30% through a finance company to buy my car or my washing machine or my television set, I would be stupid not to borrow through the community credit union. Would you agree with that, yes or no? Yes. How many of you belong to a community credit union? Now, when I talk about community credit unions, remember this. Many companies have their own credit unions. But may I remind you that more and more community credit unions are springing up. And the only qualification for membership is that you live or work, what did I just say? You live or work in a particular district. You live or work in a particular district. So my advice to you, whether you want to borrow money immediately or not, apart from investing money, is to make contact, and the name has recently been changed, but I'll use the old name, the Credit Union League in your particular state, and ask them where is your nearest community credit union. And that's my advice. Again, I'm delighted to see so many young people in the audience. My priorities for young people, in every sense of the word, would be number 1, a bank link, number 2, a building society link, and number 3, a credit union link. And then, of course, if we're talking about small amounts of money, although I said if I had any Australian savings bonds, I'd get rid of them until the government increases interest rates. You can buy Australian savings bonds, not Treasury bonds, in units of $20 and upwards. So quite obviously, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great way to practically encourage the young people to save and invest. So I'll allow that qualification as far as Australian savings bonds are concerned. Oh, I bet you've never seen one of these before. I'll bet my bottom dollar you've seen that $1,000 Treasury bond, right? Do you know that you can also buy waterboard loans in bearer form with interest coupons attached? Who did not know that? Waterboard loans and Sydney County Council loans in bearer form. And do you know that the interest coupons are attached and not in any implied or obvious way of avoiding tax? Let me make it quite clear, legitimately is what I mean. If you want to physically hold that waterboard debenture or that Treasury bond with the interest coupons attached, and of course you must keep them in a safe place, because if they're lost or stolen, anyone can pick them up and cash them, you can ask for the actual bonds. And in many cases, that's what I would do, providing I keep them in a safe place.
Monday, on Trapper John, a girl is going blind from a brain tumour.
I'm going to kill somebody.
Am I going to be blind?
Well, not if we can help it.
You talking about insulin, Tommy? You're diabetic, aren't you, Tommy?
Tommy, answer me.
He's passed out. He could go into diabetic coma. Gonzo, this kid could die.
The police will track him down pretty quickly, and...
Well, they may be able to find him, but they won't know how to treat him. I better go help him.
Just can't wait, John.
Grab your knife and do your thing, because I got nothing to lose.
Pernell Roberts is Trapper John, MD, Monday, 7:30 on 4.
Let me tell you a country story. It goes back quite a few years. The time I found a phantom pub and drank the legend that became a beer. The beer was called Country Special. Country folks swore it was blessed. Tooheys, they said, would brew a few kegs and ship it quiet to this pub out west. I was trudging home from a hard day's work. My horse had thrown a shoe. Tired and dusty, I came on this pub. Where no pub was built, I knew. I must have looked a thirsty man. The barman pulled a beer, said here, and I drank in the taste of that wondrous brew, the legend that became a beer.
Now, you may not believe this story. I'll leave that up to you. But once you get a taste of the country, nothing else will do.
So fill your hand with an ice cold can. Country Special's here. Let's drink to a brew worth drinking to.
Tooheys Country Special. The legend that became a beer.
Food prices will probably go up and up between now and Christmas, so do the smart thing. Call Permanent Pantry. They'll fill your freezer now and you can pay on their easy budget plan. If you don't have a freezer, Permanent Pantry can supply one. They'll even trade your old fridge on this superb refrigerator freezer. Permanent Pantry food is all top quality and there's a huge range to choose from. Beef, lamb, pork, veal, fish, fruit, small goods, cakes and pastries. And here's a special bonus offer for every new customer who phones now and places an order. You'll receive absolutely free of charge a super Christmas hamper containing 1 plump turkey, 1 Christmas pudding, 1 Christmas cake, 6 mince pies, 12 party pies, 6 chocolate eclairs, 1 family apple pie. Take advantage of this great Christmas offer. Call this number now.
Let's look at this fixed interest list once again. And let's talk about what we call quality paper. Quality. There is no substitute for quality. So let's see what we've found here, or what I can find here. Oh yes, I promised I'd go through the semi-governmental loans, things like Water Board, Electricity Commission, etc., etc. I'm sure I've got one here if I can find it. Yes, here I have. This loan has closed, of course, but recently you could have invested in a new Electricity Commission loan at 15.5% for 4 years, or 5 or 7, and I'm generalising, or 15.7 for 10 years. But as I've already explained, you would have paid tax on that rate, so go for the discounted ones. But you can also buy old semi-governmental loans like these through the marketplace. Let's look at one of them. Here is a Water Board loan maturing on the 1st of January 1983. How long to go? 1st of January 83. How long to go? How long? 1 year. You're confusing yourselves with the word or the date 83. It's not 2 years to go. It's about 14 months. Not 2 years. The old interest rate on this Water Board loan, forgive me for reading, 5.375%. So you're only paying tax on 5.375, like the Treasury bond that I mentioned before. Quantity involved, $2,500 worth, so that small parcels are going through. Yield, return on investment in buying at this price, 16.25% for just over a year, and you can only get 15.5% if you tie your money up for 4 years. You're getting 16.25% plus the tax-free capital gain if you buy the discounted loans and debentures. And ladies and gentlemen, the purchase price, and you can check this, for every $100 worth, $90.01 for every $100 worth, so in just over 14 months. For your outlay of $90.01, there will also be a tax-free capital gain of $10 per 100, which is not peanuts. Would you agree with that, yes or no? All righty. Any questions on that, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
But you can't sell them until maturity.
Yes, you can sell them at any time. But I believe, rightly or wrongly, I was conned once by the federal government, or should I say by the Reserve Bank, last year. I believe, more by good luck than good management, that interest rates in this country have peaked, at least for the time being. If I'm right and interest rates start coming down even gradually, these loans that you buy, and even those new loans that you buy, will appreciate in value. But if you bought, for example, this bond here, or this Water Board loan today or tomorrow, and the day after you needed money, you can sell that immediately, ma'am. You may not get the original price that you paid back, but you can sell it immediately, so that you are not locked in.
Yeah,
that's the important point. You are not locked in. Yes?
How do you get your money back when it matures?
When it matures, sir, if you've got inscribed stock, which is the safest and best way to hold fixed interest investments, they will write to you and they'll say, please let us know whether you want your money back. You advise them that you want your money back. They'll give you the cheque on a certain day. By the way, talking about cheques on certain days. I'm off again, that's right. Most finance companies and many, shall we say, investment houses make a special point of ensuring that interest cheques, like on debentures and unsecured notes, are sent out in sufficient time to arrive on the due date. I said most. If I invest in a certain investment and the interest is due on the 30th of September, when can I expect my interest cheque? I get very concerned and damn well, I nearly said something else, very annoyed when my interest cheque doesn't arrive till the 6th or 7th of October. Would you agree in principle, yes or no? Yes. And I'm afraid there are far too many, and let's forget the finance companies. I mean, you've got finance companies like AGC and Mutual Acceptance, just to name two, who make a point of sending out their interest cheques 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days in advance. But there are many leading companies of Australia who post their interest cheques hopefully on the due date. They post them on the due date and then they send them by second-class mail. And they wonder why they've got complaints from their debenture holders, their unsecured note holders, when they arrive 5 or 6 or 7 days late. Yes, ma'am.
Have to pay legally for the lost time?
Does the company have to pay legally? I can't answer that question. But I would say that morally, in that situation, the company should pay, and any quality company would pay, because they are at fault. Now, I'm not just talking about 1 or 2 days because of mail delays or for other reasons. I'm talking about, I don't like to use the word deliberate delays. Let me rephrase it. Shall we say, amateurish delays in not seeing that the cheques are sent on time. Yes, ma'am.
On the 12th of October, I was to receive...
You were to receive a cheque on the 12th of October from a certain organisation.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, right.
It was to be paid into my local...
It was to be paid into your local cheque account.
On the 13th, I checked.
Yes.
The bank told me to check to see if it was there. On the 13th, there was no... It hadn't been entered in my account.
When did it arrive, ma'am?
On the 14th.
On the 14th.
When I asked, they told me that because I had a cheque account and because it was put through a computer, they did not enter it in my account till after the closing time of the bank, till the end of the day. But had I had it put into my savings bank account, it would have been put through the computer.
We won't go into details. I'll answer your question simply. I don't know the institution concerned, but let me say here and now, I would write to that particular institution and demand at least 1 day's interest, if not 2. And I would not take no for an answer.
I worked it out to be $11 for that day, for that amount.
Look, ladies and gentlemen, I might get worked up over this. If you have an interest cheque that's due on the 30th of September, if you want to keep it in your wallet or pocket or purse for a month, that's your decision. Whether you want to spend it is your decision. Whether you want to reinvest it, it's your decision. But that interest is due on the 30th of September or the 1st of October. That's the principle I'm talking about.
Gillette, great moments in sport. The Centenary Test, a match highlighted by classic individual performances. The tourists were easy prey for Dennis Lilly, who bombarded the stumps to collect 11 wickets. A fearless display of batting saw man of the match Derek Randall slam on 174 runs, while Rod Marsh became the first Aussie wicketkeeper to smash a century against England. In an amazing finish, Australia defeated England by the same 45-run margin as they had 100 years before in the first Test match ever played.
Without a Papermate PowerPoint pen, you could never write at this angle. And without a Papermate PowerPoint, you probably couldn't write here. Or here. Or here. You see, only Papermate has PowerPoint, the mechanism that continually pumps ink to the ball. So your Papermate PowerPoint writes effortlessly, where other pens would be lost for words. Papermate with the unbeatable PowerPoint.
The Miss Suntastic quest is on again this summer as we search the coast and highlands for Miss Suntastic 1982. She will win an Asian affair holiday for two to Singapore and Penang, flying Singapore Airlines, plus $500 spending money from the sponsors of the quest, the IMB Building Society. All zone winners win a Breville blow dryer and Roll-O-Matic steam brush, a camera from Powcolour, a Beach Boys beach pack and Coca-Cola products. There are gift packs of Quenty Cosmetics and Quality Street chocolates for every girl who enters. Plus, the organisation that nominates Miss Suntastic will win $1,000 worth of free advertising too. So if you're 16 years and over and live in the Channel 4 viewing area, just collect an entry form from any IMB branch or write to Miss Suntastic, Channel 4, Box 1800, Post Office Wollongong 2500.
That's the prospectus for the first one, Hill Samuel. There it is there. And the application form is attached. That's the prospectus for the second Cash Management Trust, the Equitable Group. There it is there, ladies and gentlemen. The application form is attached. My apologies. There's the third one, the AFT Cash Management Trust. And there's the fourth one, the BA Cash Management Trust. And, sir, the application form is also attached. Yes, sir, you have a question?
Yeah. Can you invest in those companies through your own bank? I asked my bank, you see.
You asked your bank?
And they hadn't heard of cash management.
They haven't heard of Cash Management Trust, sir? Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you back to a true scene that occurred just after Hill Samuel was introduced last November. It's not often I'm invited to lunch by a banker or a senior banker, but I was invited to lunch by a senior banker, and don't try and think of the bank that I'm referring to because you're quite wrong. You are quite wrong. And I said, this banker was a little older than I am, and I said, oh, this is wonderful, this is wonderful. You know, isn't it great to see? This is going to revolutionise the local investment scene. And in typical banker fashion, he said, bond, my boy. I'm nearly 53, bond, my boy. You know, I don't mind that, you know, my boy. He said, yes, I respect what you're saying, you know, as bankers speak. But let me assure you, bond, my boy, for the second time, that it's only a flash in the pan. It won't last. Since they were first introduced, they have attracted more than $500 million in local funds. There has been no greater supporter, apart from savings bonds, of the building society movement and the credit union movement in this country than Bruce Bond. But I'm afraid it's the building societies, particularly in New South Wales, not so much in other states, that are suffering. And you know why they're suffering? Because they're stifled by stupid rules, and I don't apologise for saying so, to earn the maximum interest rate of 14%, or around 14% in New South Wales, you must invest a minimum sum of $10,000 for 12 months. What did I say the initial minimums were in Hill Samuel, Equitable, AFT and BA? 5,000, 2 and 2. For what period of time? 24 hours. What return? 14.7. And the building societies of New South Wales in particular are wondering why they're losing money. Quite frankly, and I say this with the utmost respect, they've got to very, very quickly meet the market, because it was only a few months ago that the initial... Sorry, was there a comment, mate? Yeah. Right. It was only a few months ago, or last year I should say, that the minimum investment required to earn the maximum from building societies was $2,000. Formerly it was 5. They reduced it to 2, and then very stupidly, and I say this with respect to all building societies and the minister concerned, They then increased it from 2,000 to 10,000. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am a very loyal person, and I will not change an investment for the sake of 1/4% or 1/2%, particularly if I want to keep money in a building society or credit union or a bank. Let's not knock the banks to qualify for that all-important housing loan. I won't knock that for a moment. But let me say here and now, Bruce Bond is not a benevolent institution. And if I can earn 14.7% or 15% or 16% by investing in cash management trusts or semi-government loans or old treasury bonds plus a capital gain, I do not apologise for saying, without going to extremes, and I'm talking about young people who might still want to invest in Series 19 savings bonds, and I wouldn't disagree with that for a moment, I am not going to leave my money in an investment only paying 12.25% when I can earn 14.7 or 15 or 15.5 or 16% with complete safety somewhere else. Right, now very quickly, and how are we going for time? Right, ladies and gentlemen, please forgive me. May I come, if I may, to first-class company debentures. And let me quote some recent sales. BHP. I'm going to quote a sale that's not quoted here. A few weeks ago, there was a sale of old 7%, low coupon as we say, old 7% BHP debentures, and they don't mature till 1990, and I admit that, that's a long time for some people, but if you're going to retire in 8 or 9 years, that might be a very good investment for you to have. Those BHP debentures, and once again I'm talking about units of $100 worth, went through the marketplace at $55 per $100 worth for BHP. When they mature, the final holder will get $100 back. The return on the investment was around 16% without allowing for or including the tax-free capital gain, etc., etc., etc. What I'm saying is this. Once again, there are dozens of avenues available to each and every one of you, whether you've got $20, $2,000, $10,000 or $100,000. It's up to you to go to the right sources and get the advice and the unbiased advice that you need.
Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree, merry, merry king of the bush is he. Here comes Brumby Jack, bringing the horses down the track. Hear him sing as he wheels them around, he keeps them together safe and sound.
Bunyips, bunnies and brumbies, an enchanting collection of nursery rhyme and folk song magic by Mike and Michelle Jackson.
Hop, how do you do? I hop on both legs, not one like you. I'm Hoppity Hop the kangaroo.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Includes all the words of the 36 songs, plus finger puppets of 6 delightful characters.
Wincy, wincy spider climbed up the spout again. On you in your water tank, that's what I do all day. I'm a little tea, but short and stout. Here is my hand.
Bunyips, bunnies and brumbies, a record for kids of all ages, only $7.99.
Keeps them together safe and sound.
There's gonna be a showdown today. There's gonna be some kind of a fight. And when the battle's won, I'm gonna have me some fun and drink me some cold cotton light. Cotton Light's got the flavor that satisfies me. Light's got the taste that's just right. So if you're in the dark about which one to choose, why don't you turn on the light? That beautiful cold cotton light. Just walk up to the man and say, I'll have a can of that beautiful cold cotton light. That beautiful cold cotton light.
I did promise you to, or promise to tell you about the bond fixed interest portfolio. We're almost out of tape, but I'll certainly do so now. These are some of the stocks, and listen very, very carefully to the way that we've arranged our fixed interest portfolio. We have investments in the AFT Cash Management Trust, the BA Cash Management Trust, the Equitable Cash Management Trust and Hill Samuel, because we spread our eggs. We don't put them all in the one basket. We have some Australian Treasury bonds, as you've already seen. We have some old Water Board loan, Northern Territory loan, Electricity Commission loan, Pipeline Authority loan, National Railways loan. We also have debentures in GJ Coles, APM, Australian Development Bank, Gordon & Gotch, BHP, Primary Industries Bank, ICI Limited, Australian Gaslight Company, Abbey Capital, Nilex Corporation, ICI, I think I've mentioned that before, CSR, and ladies and gentlemen, that's almost the exclusive bond family fixed interest portfolio. But listen to the maturity dates. 1982, 1983, 1984, 1985, 1986, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, I'm an optimist, 94, 95, 96. What do you notice about our maturing investments? Every year, and in all truthfulness, most of our fixed interest investments don't mature every year. They mature every month for the next 5 years. So that's the bond fixed interest portfolio. As I said before, and I'll repeat, I'm deeply involved with people. I'm deeply involved in my country. I won't go into too much theatrics or too much of the demonstrative aspects of what I'm saying. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for the pleasure of your company, because without an audience, there would be no talk, there would be no special. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you at the next Bruce Bond special, which will be very shortly. And on behalf of the team, thank you again for the pleasure of your company. And thank you very much.
The Governor and the Mansion staff are gripped by gold fever. Next on 4, in another hilarious episode of Benson. Then follows tonight's surf report with Phil Byrne and an evening with Susie.